the white population pay attention to the black population as more than a servant class and more than a servile class. And yet it seems that this fight against monarchy and oligarchy is an ongoing struggle, Ariel Gold, in the United States. Let us be very clear. It took Benjamin Franklin decades to become an American. He was a committed Anglophile. He was a committed British citizen. But as things evolved in the United States and as he saw the disrespect that British people, that the British government, those in power had for these Americans who just longed for a fair relationship with the crown, he became an American. Maybe through this whole process, we might do the same. And maybe this time we'll include everybody. Attorney Linda Bernard, Tio Hardiman, perhaps so, Renee Criswell, a brilliant teacher here in Chicago. And of course, she's given birth to some brilliant young people who are making their way through the world. Attorney Linda Bernard, brilliant attorney, police commissioner, part of the police commissioning board in Detroit, Michigan, brilliant civil rights attorney. Tio Hardiman, author of what book, Tio?
Yeah, Interrupting Gun Violence, the Public Health Approach.
Well, this is something for you. Ariel Gold, she's up there in Minnesota with the Democrats, my girl, Fellowship of Reconciliation, trying to get it right. That's all right. And this is a young man who I have not had on my show in a very long time. And of course, he scooted in with Reverend Jackson when he was, what were you, 17, 16, 17? That's
17,
right.
17.
That's right. And of course, he started campaigning with Reverend. He wasn't old enough to vote, but he was in the mix. And we are so proud of him as he is now about to become Reverend Dr. Mark Thompson, noted MSNBC contributor, noted Sirius FM radio host. And of course, I have been there with you on your old show. And of course, Mr. Make It Plain, we're so honored to have him with us today because he has been in New York, he's been in Washington. He really understands these two cities in a particular way, and Baltimore, because he has roots there, he has lived there. And so now, as we're watching what's happened in Washington, let me start with you, Reverend Thompson. This federal takeover in Washington, as you see that it is now moving to Chicago. Of course, the Washington Post published this Pentagon memo, and they said, look, this is how civil unrest will be handled in the United States. Now, civil unrest, what does that mean? Is that demonstration? Is that simple protest? What do you make of this, Reverend Thompson?
Well, first of all, good to see all of you and honored to be with you, Santita. And yes, I was with your dad at 17. And then that in the 84 campaign that following January, you and I don't know if you remember this, and I joined your dad to march against Reagan's inauguration in the freezing cold. And I turned 18 a month earlier.
Me and my keffiyeh. I had that then. That's right. And my green down coat from Eddie Bauer. Oh, yeah.
Come on. There's a picture. I'm looking for the picture. There's a picture somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Now, at that time, being in D.C. and having, years later being involved in the statehood movement with Marion Barry and Mayor Sharon Pratt, this is what happens in D.C. is direct to front. But D.C., like Chicago is about to be, he is filming a pilot for his new reel or reality show or campaign video for 2028 for when he runs again to appeal to his base. It's like an updated version, a reboot of the TV show Cops. And his base gets off on seeing these raids and all this stuff, even though nothing's happened. Crime is down. What has happened in DC has been incredible, reducing crime. What has happened in Chicago? And I've never lived in Chicago, but it feels like my home is. I've been in Chicago already about 8 times this year alone, the more I've been in a few years. And Mayor Johnson is a good friend. We were standing out in front of the Congressional Black Caucus Gala a few years ago. I said, hey, Brandon, why don't you run for mayor? He said, man, I might think about that. And now he's the mayor. So that's my man. I'm standing in solidarity with all of you in that. So we know what he's up to, what he's trying to do. The thing that concerns me, and I'm sure many of you would agree, in some of these spaces, there's this thinking, well, let's just lay low, let him pass through. He won't be here long, which I think is problematic. On the other hand, especially in Washington, D.C., and, folk I know, Santita, you and I've known a lot of folk in D.C. Um, Folk normally like us who would get out there and fight and risk arrest are saying they don't even want to give him the highlight reel because he wants us to fight with him, respond to him. So we have to, this causes us, I think, to think about how to combat this in newer and more creative ways. And I'm sure that the good people of Chicago will work on that. We've also been educating people about what to do when stopped by the authorities. The National Black Police Association gave us that rubric some years ago for when they pull us up, when they try to stop us, how we can de-escalate and not escalate a situation, giving them an excuse to do harm to us as Black people. But the bottom line is he's appealing to his base. And lastly, let's be clear, this base who loves him unconditionally still wants the Epstein files. And so he's got to create these distractions so that nobody's asked. So now all of a sudden he's going to go to every Black city. He's going to go to DC. He went to LA first, DC. He's going to go to Chicago. Obviously, he's going to go to Baltimore. He's going to go everywhere he can to keep that Epstein matter from being on the front page while he plays to a base that likes to see people rounded up.
But you know what? I think we have to be careful about the base. He has a strong band of supporters. They keep making it makes it sound like it's smaller than it is. It's not. And remember, people have toggled. You can go to Bernie Sanders rallies today and find Trump supporters. People want someone to go to Washington and do something because folks are not eating. People cannot afford rent. More and more people are going into default on their mortgages. They can't pay these credit cards. I mean, it's getting increasingly desperate out here. Of course, I was saying we started late because I said I've got to run down and get some packages because people are stealing packages. And everybody said, oh, wait a minute, that's happening everywhere. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I can't take it personally because I just, And so, I mean, and this is where we are. But I want to find out from everyone. I think that you're right, Mark. But I think that people at every place on the spectrum, everybody wants to know who Epstein was and what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, wait a minute, hold it. There's a lot of this doesn't feel good. We don't feel right about this. It just, everything about Epstein is off. You want to know who he was working for. You want to know what he was doing. I mean, he was blackmailing everybody. So, I mean, what? But, T.O., what do you make of this? Because I'm wondering how you think this is going to land with people when they see our neighborhoods patrolled so heavily by ICE, the FBI, National Guard, and a federalized police force, because that's what's going to happen here.
Well, let me say this here. It's an honor to be back on your show again. And now when it comes to Donald Trump and his wanting to deploy the National Guard here in Chicago, I look at it from both sides of the coin, from a different lens. I'm on the ground level in Chicago working with victims of gun violence every day. Crime has risen on the CTA trains. It's like triple fold, right? They just, some guys just threw a 7-year-old CTA work on the train tracks. A young kid who had autism was somebody beat his caretaker up on the train, on the stairs of the train, and the boy fell down. He was declared brain dead, all right? Now, the thing is, homicides are down in Chicago without a doubt. For the first time in many, many decades, we may have less than 400 homicides in Chicago, but one is too many, right? I just want to put that out there. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm totally opposed to a little more stricter type of presence of some type of law enforcement, because when you talk to the mothers and you talk to the family members that lost their loved ones, now what Donald Trump, and I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, I just want to make that clear, but I'm a grown man and I understand how things go in the world. Donald Trump said some African-American women approached him about crime in Chicago, and that's why he made the decision. I don't know if that's true or false, but we as African-American people, I just want to be careful as I say this here. We have got to do a better job at stopping some of the killing in our community to the best of our ability. I know all of us are not the police. I got that. But it's incumbent upon us. I just resolved a conflict on 79th and East End on the east side of Chicago 3 days ago. It took us 2 days to save 4 lives over there. These guys shot at some 14-year-olds. Their sisters or into it with some other guy, crazy cousins. I'm talking about, it was crazy. It was like chaotic to the highest level. So a security guard on CTA with a K9 with him got beat up in front of his K9 dog on CTA. The city spent $31 million on K9 security. They beat up the security guard. They're beating up passengers on the red line. They're robbing people. I'm not trying to present paranoia, a panic attack or nothing, but something has got to give now when we get finished talking. We've had over, you can look it up, Santita, Chicago has experienced southwest side, east side Chicago, over 50 mass shootings in Chicago this year so far, even though homicides are down, don't get me wrong, but the mass shootings continue. So something has definitely got to give. And that's my contribution to this subject matter. I don't know if the National Guard is the overall answer, but I'm going to put some responsibility on Black folks, my people, to know, look here, we got to do a better job. Too many young people are steady being shot and killed on a regular basis. And the number of women that have been shot and killed in Chicago is outrageous this year in Chicago. I mean, people shooting up in crowds. The young guys call it the blitz. They call it like they're blitzing people when they shoot these automatic weapons. You know, so we're doing the best we can. Don't get me wrong. My organization, Violence Interrupters, we've mediated around 40 conflicts this year on the front end where somebody would have lost their life. It's not a big number, but it's a solid number. We stopped 40 potential homicides, right? So with that being said, I do believe Donald Trump is just trying to deflect them Epstein files without a doubt. He has a Trump hotel in Chicago, and the reality is that I took a look at it. I'll talk about it later in the show because I have some research I pulled up. How he's not losing money down there, but he has stakes. He's a businessman. He has investments in Chicago. His friends have investments in Chicago. So some money has been lost.
Washington, this is being driven by K Street in Washington, where the lobbyists are. They're the ones who make the complaints.
That's what I'm talking about.
But the other piece is this.
Yeah.
I read the Daily Mail every day. I know it's right wing, but they give me Ariel, they give me Mark and Renee, they give me Linda pieces, and they give me stories from all over the country. Mm-hmm. Urban America is not the only place where we are seeing crime and shootings. See, that's, everybody wants to get Black folks straight. No one wants to get white people straight. I mean, let's get real about this.
That's right.
Because the propensity for violence, any people who have been as violated as we are a miracle that we're not more violent than we are. Well, that our movement was, we said Dr. King understood spiritually and scientifically that we had to have a nonviolent movement, because any people who have been as violated as we were, Ariel, that's what you do. You violate as you've been violated. If you're not healed, that's what we're seeing in the Middle East right now. Right.
We'll have to inject this, Santita, for a second, if you don't mind, just for a second.
Sure.
Positive way. The reason I'm concerned with the African American community when I make my commentary, because I'm a Black man living it every day.
I'm
concerned about the violence in the Black community. That's what I'm concerned about.
I'm feeling you. I've lived in the Black community all my life. No, stop it. I live in the middle of Black folks. Don't give me that.
That's right.
So don't hand me that.
Okay.
I don't care. It can be, because we have different classes in our community. I get it. I've always lived with Black people. Always. Yes. And those should not be my bona fides. I should be able to live wherever I want to live. So ain't nobody going to out-Black me here. Because ain't nobody had to travel since I was 5, I traveled to school with someone who had a gun. Because sometimes it was Black people who wanted to kill us. Black people killed Malcolm.
Exactly.
So save that.
No, I agree with that.
No. America is a violent nation. Dr. King said the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, then and today, is his country. That's what we do. And the bombs that we have dropped overseas, he said, would explode at home. That is real. So let's look at the violence that we continue to propagate all over the world, and we are dealing with it now. Mm-hmm. And it is not just Black people who are doing it. And Tio and I do this all the time, and it's all right. Good. No, of course we're good. I'm gonna work my way back to Ariel, but let me go to you, because before Renee jumps through the screen. Come on, Renee.
Well, I want to apologize first of all, because until a second ago I couldn't hear anything, and the screens kept going black because of my internet signal. So I switched to my son's internet signal. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. But Santita, if Trump cared about violence, would he have included in his big, ugly, brutal bill an allowance for getting silencers, making it easier for ordinary people to get silencers to put on guns to kill people? Would he have it? Would he have made it possible to get the, what do you call it, the bump starters or whatever that helps you convert your regular weapon into like an automatic weapon so you can kill more people? If he really cared, he would be trying to remove guns from the hands of people, not making it easier. And isn't he lowering the age requirement so that you can get a gun? So does he care about violence prevention, or does he just want to use violence to target the people that he doesn't like? He does not like Black people. He has shown that when he has made statements like Haitians are eating cats and dogs, or that Black people are living in S-hole countries and we can't let them come over here. Trump has targeted Black women, the backbone of a lot of families, to take their jobs, their federal jobs away. He has labeled us as DEI, even though we have to be well qualified to get jobs. He's trying to cripple our families by crippling the Black women who are holding up those families. And I feel pretty safe in Chicago. I've been here for over 60 years. I lived in Lawndale, in between Little Village and North Lawndale. The thing that makes me feel unsafe is the thought of Trump sending troops in here to occupy my neighborhood. That makes me feel a little bit afraid,
But
because
Renee, but that's what the kids in DC are saying.
Mhm.
I mean, they're saying we feel less safe now because the people being arrested are Black and brown people. I went to school in Washington. I lived in DC. You've got some of the most privileged people in the world in Washington who have diplomatic immunity.
Mhm.
A lot of crazy things happen in DC that don't get touched because you have so many powerful people there.
Mhm.
So don't act as if, like I said, don't act like I own that the Black community owns crime. That's not fair because it's just not true. Now, mind you, if you are a victim of it, of course you're very upset by it, and I'm feeling that, but that's not what they're doing here. I really don't. I mean, so what do you see? How do you think this is going to play out here in Chicago, Renee?
Oh, you know what? Based on what I've seen on the videos that I've seen with policemen just grabbing people, innocent people. I saw them slam a man who is eating crabs or something, and they slammed his face into the pavement. They're not following any rules, so they're going to create chaos, and who knows what fires will start being sparked. And I think they're trying to cause people to react negatively so they can use more force to hurt more people. It can't go well. It's not planned to go well. It can go well, but that's not how they're planning it.
Yeah, because you have saboteurs, Ariel, in crowds. You are from Code Pink, so you understand protest and you understand how to protest. And in your crowd, when someone is acting strangely, you're like, you know what? That's the bad apple. They're here to throw our whole protest off. Mark, you have seen that. Excuse me, Reverend Thompson. You've seen it. We know it. We're trained to do it because Ariel, you and I and Mark, we come from that space. And Attorney Linda Bernard does it too. She's marched with us enough times. She understands that. She just had to bail people out of jail. But Ariel, what do you make of this? I mean, because it's coming to a city near you.
I totally agree. I think that what he is doing is he is trying to create violence and chaos. He is committing crimes, but he's also looking to create criminal behavior to rile things up. He's looking to start some riots, some real wild, out of control stuff. And there's nothing like the occupation of a city. And, one of the things that I've been thinking after I heard him say Chicago is next, I thought, oh, you don't know what you're doing in that way, because DC is DC, but compared to the size of Chicago, and Chicago is politically organized around Chicago. And I don't know if he knows what he's in for that way. But yeah, I certainly think, of course, there will be provocateurs in the street trying to create violence, and that's what it is. I've been I don't know if it was the last time I was on with you, Santita, but it's been like sitting in my head. You were talking about, you said, my father woke up the other night in the middle of the night, just crystal clear, and said, you don't fight fire with fire, you fight it with water.
Yeah.
And that's why we engage in nonviolence, because we look out and we see state violence. We see violence from the military industrial complex, from this capitalist system, from, the troops, from all of this. And we can't go up against that. We got nothing going up against that. Our best power is the purpose of nonviolence is to shine a mirror on the violence, is to reflect it back. And that's why you fight hate with love.
That's right.
That's how love disarms hate. It's not just pretty words, but that's actually how it works. And that's why nonviolence is effective that way. But this is a real provocation. This is a real provocation. And it's up to us. It's up to the people of Chicago right now to respond in the way that shines that mirror.
Well, I think to your point, what we have to do is what was done. People think that folks just marched with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. That was not, there was a whole education. Number one, you understood the philosophy of nonviolence. You understood it as not just a spiritual space and cleansing. You understood that it was a tactic. You understood that. And if you were not doing it with love, you were not doing this right. I mean, that was you. I mean, you have to understand the only way you cleanse, what did Marvin Gaye say? War is not the answer. Only love will conquer hate. That's just real. Mm-hmm. And so we have to understand that even as we demonstrate, because I think the people need to be in the streets demonstrating. And when you see that bad apple, you need to call them out and have them removed lovingly, but don't play with them. Because be very clear. I've been marching all my life. I'm clear on that. Dr. King's only march that devolved into violence, the week before he was killed, T.O., it was some young Black men, one of whom was from Morehouse, and he was connected to the CIA. It's a tactic.
Oh yeah.
And it felt bad. It smelled bad. My father and Reverend Bevel said, you know what? We didn't want to come to Memphis. This is a diversion. We got so much momentum to go to Washington, to have this to create Resurrection City, to have this sit-in on the mall, this live-in on the mall. Let's keep on going, Doc. And when they talk, historians say, he got upset with Jesse. No, the thing is, they had debates all the time. My father came out of the Bevel wing, which was like the young kind of let's storm the Bastille wing of that party. I mean, of the SCLC. And so it was like, wait a minute, hold on. This march, this doesn't feel right. Something's off here. And it was off. And he was killed the next week when he came back. So, we need to be real clear on what we're looking at, really. And before I bring up, okay, I'll add you to the stage, because everybody's having their issues with what is it? Oh my goodness, with internet today. But that's all right. It's interesting, since we've been having these conversations, Ariel, Tio, Renee, Attorney Linda Bernard, and Mark. I have more trouble with my internet. Mm-hmm. And, I think we have to watch out for that too. Mm-hmm. Because that's a very real part of it. But Linda, what are you thinking? What's on your mind?
Well, I was pleased the other night when I saw that the president himself was going to be on patrol in D.C. in the Beast, which is built in Detroit. There's only one Beast in the world. There are two, actually, but they are built right here by Cadillac. So I'm very happy about that. Number two, I know that when the community knew that he was coming through, everybody could sit outside, do whatever they wanted to do. They didn't have to worry about gunfire. They don't have to worry about anything happening or anything moving that's not supposed to be moving. You underrate the importance of peace, tranquility, and the lack of violence for people who are law-abiding. I don't understand it. I mean, what is the problem? The officers aren't bothering people. They're just there. So if I'm doing the right thing, why does it bother me? I can go into the Walgreens right there on Michigan Avenue, go wherever I want to go. Everything in there is all locked down. And that's with the Chicago Police Department in force. You know, I've spent half my life in Chicago, but I'm a lawyer as well in Washington, D.C., and I've spent just as much time in Washington, D.C. And it's outrageous that people come to our country from around the world, and there's graffiti on national monuments, homeless people sleeping on the Lincoln Monument. Who does this? We're the greatest country in the world, the greatest democracy in the world. But you and I, when we go to Japan, what do we see? We see a Coke machine on the street. There's no iron bar around the machine, no chains around the machine. You can just right in any neighborhood, you can just buy a Coke out the machine. When you get up in the morning and you go for coffee or tea, you go for tea. I go for coffee. But storekeepers are out front scrubbing their sidewalk with soap and water. I saw it with my own eyes. I'd never seen it before. I'd never seen it in America. How people take pride in their neighborhood, in their country, and in their community. That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, we got signs, pick up the trash. I mean, as you and I both know, Santita, if you spit on the ground or put gum on the ground in Singapore, you get caned. Mm-hmm. That's what happens to you. What is it, 30, whatever it is they put in there with. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of us making excuses and acting like we're the victims when we are the victimized. There's nothing. Those officers aren't bothering me, you, anybody. They may be handsome, they may be girls, they may be guys, whatever they are. If they're walking in, and I'm proud of them. When I see a person that's in the military or a veteran, the first thing I do is thank them for their service to our country, to my community, and to the whole world. Because American servicemen and women service the entire world. Let's face it. But for us, the world would be a very, very different place. So why am I upset that they're around? Why would I be upset? They're not breaking the law. They're not a threat to me. They're not a threat to my community.
But let me ask you this, Linda.
But guess what? It makes my people, Negroes, stand down because it's like a wake-up call. It's like when your daddy walks in the room. It's time out for the nonsense.
Yeah, but he wasn't using.
Ain't no gunfire, ain't nothing.
Yeah, but he wasn't using military force, and I don't think that these people are doing this. No, it is the point. Let me ask you this. Hold on.
There is no military force.
Listen,
there's a military presence.
Let me finish. Let me ask you this, because Washington, D.C. is our nation's capital, and people go there to demonstrate. Okay, I'm trying to figure out, because people are being stopped. In the last hour, I just had someone who was saying from DC Vote, Kelsey Adams. She's the director of DC Vote and Free DC. And she said people just being stopped all over Washington, D.C. The studies are showing that Black and brown people, and young people in particular, feel less safe.
If I can interrupt you, if it's the police that are stopping them, you have to have on a body cam in both Washington, D.C. and Detroit.
Yeah, but I mean, why wait, stop.
And everybody has their cell phone, so they can videotape what's happening.
Yeah, but why do I have to do all that? I mean, because
if you feel offended.
I'm just saying to you, when the police are trained in an occupied territory, that to me is not going to end well, because it is hard to organize a march when these people, they don't want you to march. They don't want you to demonstrate. They don't want you to present your grievances. Yeah, you do. But these people, we act like the March on Washington happened without fierce resistance from the administration. Kennedy didn't want that march to take place. But hold on, stay right there, because I want you to respond. I mean, because this woman, everyone, Linda's a brilliant lawyer who's won several cases before the Michigan State Supreme Court. She's the first Black person to get a master's in law from UPenn's law school. She really does understand the law, and I am not mad at her. I don't have to agree, but when it comes to the law, I respect her mind. I really, really do. But we don't have to agree. We're not an echo chamber here, everybody. So before you all start jumping on folks, understand that a lot of different people have a lot of different approaches to this, and I'm not mad at you. Dr. Latrice, your thoughts.
I am one of those who I'm on the side of we do not need that type of presence here in Chicago, because if we think about how much has already taken place and what we've already endured as Black people, and systemically being placed in communities where we're underserved and it's disenfranchisement taking place, you already know that there is going to be a measure of racial profiling that's going to go way beyond. I just had this conversation as I was walking into my office with a young person, and they were saying, so we hear that Trump is trying to send the military here. And I said, well, I'm gonna be honest, when they start talking about it, it's probably already done. That's how I feel. When those statements were being made, I think that was kind of the precursor to say that just watch out, it's already on the rise, it's already gonna happen. But I completely disagree. I think about stop and frisk. I think about all these different violations of humanity that take place when that type of presence is there. And I also think about the defense mechanisms that people put up. We already are walking around in defense about everything, as opposed to people in other communities having to watch how they're treated by police officers and people of law enforcement. When we think about a military presence, that's going to heighten and it's going to make matters worse, because people are going to start feeling like they have to do what they have to do to defend their own space. And I don't think that it'll be done fairly. And I think it'll be something that's going to make things 10 times worse.
I mean,
comment about Epstein,
sure,
because you guys have talked about that before I got on. I'm sick and tired of that. The Democrats had 1,500 days in the White House with Epstein and with the Epstein file. Epstein was killed on their watch. Nothing was a big deal. I mean, now that Trump is president, it has to be Trump. What do you mean? You had the power for 1,500 days and nights, 4 years, about 1,500. I didn't do it exactly. And now here you come with all this. Oh, he's like Epstein. And Epstein.
Mark
did what he did. I'm not approving of it. But don't get it twisted. If I'm 17,
but that's just a point of information, attorney.
If I'm 17,
just one point of information.
Wait a minute.
Invites me to go on his private jet.
Got you. Wait a minute, Linda. We can't
Linda,
talk,
point of
we can't
information.
overtalk each other.
I just want to say one thing. Point of information. You know Robert's rules. Democrats are not calling for the Epstein files. It is Trump's. There are Republicans. There are Republicans in Congress. They had to send Congress home to keep his own Republicans for asking for it. Now, let me just give you a little background. Remember now, for whatever reason, there's this strain within his base, within his following, within the Republican movement. Remember, that was fixated on pedophilia. They accused Hillary Clinton and Democrats of running a pedophilia ring out of a pizza parlor. That has not gone away. Democrats are not asking for the Epstein files.
Well, I am.
Well, I mean, maybe, but not in. It's not a Democratic movement.
I think when you're 17 years old and you go somewhere with a man, you decide that you want to fly on a private jet while we're on the subject and go somewhere, go to an island, go to a resort.
No. But Linda's a little deeper than that.
I'm identified as a child.
They identified.
But I'm not a child.
No,
I'm making my own decision.
Linda, they identified poor and working class girls. And
Lord, everybody's a victim. Nobody has free will.
Linda, stop.
When Puff Daddy gets Linda, 16, I don't have free will.
Linda, do you want me to mute you? Come on, don't do that.
I'm telling the truth.
No, I hear you, but so am I.
You can't mute the elder, Santita. You can't mute the elder.
Linda, stop.
Everybody's a victim.
Linda, no.
After I get the benefits of the relationship.
Virginia Giuffre, who allegedly committed suicide, said she was from a poor/working class family. Her father was part of the gardening crew at Mar-a-Lago. She was getting a little after-school job. These people, are intimidated by power. And let's be very, no, let me finish. No, stop.
They're
Let us know.
impressed by
Stop.
glamour.
Linda,
and
Linda,
being
Linda,
a
Linda,
millionaire.
Linda, wait. Let's not interrupt each other.
Intimidated.
Linda,
I
stop.
want to join a
Linda, don't do that. Now, let me finish and let everybody else finish. You have an advantage over everyone because you're a great lawyer. And that's what you do, but stop. What I'm simply saying is this. They didn't get these rich girls. They got some poor folks. Okay? I don't care what color they are. It's all wrong. And let me tell you, Democrats and Republicans are in it. I don't care what it is. It's all wrong. And it's very clear this man was working for somebody, and a whole lot of people got blackmailed, and it shaped American policy. That to me is a real issue. I don't care. I'm so tired of people going after folks on a partisan basis. It makes everything nasty. I don't like them going after Trump just because he's Trump. I didn't like them going after Biden because he was Biden. Just stop it, y'all. Either you want justice or just sit down and shut up. This is not a partisan issue. This is about protecting people. And this is about policy. Because you're not supposed to honeypot people. That's what happened here. It's very clear. Of course, there's not going to be a list. No one's that unsophisticated. But you do know who was in and out of that house. And there have been books written about people who were stopped from doing things that could have helped save lives in different parts of the world because they were being blackmailed, sexually blackmailed. We need to know about that. And that's it. I don't care. I'm not trying to give anyone cover. I think all this is a mess. It's a mess. A mess.
Santita, may I say something?
Of course.
Okay, so first of all, not all of the girls who were involved or abused by Epstein were 17 and 18-year-old girls. Some were, they have reported as young as 10, 11, and 12-year-olds.
I've never heard that.
No, that's written.
When they brought the case against Epstein in Florida, the DA from Florida wanted to go in on Epstein about all of these girls that they knew he had abused. But word came from above, maybe from President Bush or someone high up, that Epstein, from what I have read, and I've been reading and researching stuff about Epstein for a long time, they said he might be intelligence and hands off. So when they indicted Epstein, they used 2 older victims and tried to make it seem like they were prostitutes. So they never actually really tried to go get Epstein, because Epstein had dirt on a whole lot of powerful people, including, they've said, Alan Dershowitz, lots of people, Clinton, lots of people went to his island, including Trump, Democrats, Republicans, independents, Prince William from
Prince
Andrew.
I'm sorry, Prince Williams, Prince Andrew. So there were lots of powerful people, men and women, who were involved. And contrary to what most people think, I don't think Epstein is the distraction. I don't think they're trying to distract us from Epstein. I think they're using Epstein to distract us from all of the evil policies they're trying to carry out against people, and specifically Black people in this country. Looking at Project 2025, looking at ALEC, they've been writing policies. They've been trying to harm us, taking away voting rights from us. ALEC did that. They took over so many legislatures across the country, writing laws, giving them laws that will restrict our voting rights. And look, we've almost lost our voting rights all over this country. They're taking away our rights. They want to take us back. When they say they want their country back, even though Trump's grandfather came here in 89, he wasn't here when we built the country. What's his name? The people from apartheid South Africa, the billionaires, they were in an apartheid country where the Blacks had no rights, and they want to take our rights away from us and let foreigners who are white come in while they push out brown and black people, not just immigrants, but Trump said he wants to deport homegrown criminals. And in Washington, D.C., he's calling the kids savages. He wants to try them as adults. We have to look at what he's doing.
They are tried all over the country as adults. Every state
Do you think that's
has
right?
laws that allow them to be tried as adults.
But they
this is
haven't
not a
done
Donald
any-
Trump. What is this? Is that
Okay, so, well, can I respond, Santita?
Yeah, oh, please jump in. Oh.
So, a couple of things that I want to address. Militarized police or militarized forces have never solved crime in any community. And, you know, DC is a home rule issue. But when you think about it, you know, one of the things that
When you say that, what do you mean? Explain that to me.
okay, so DC, as we know, does not have full autonomy nor statehood. That's been part of the struggle. When Marion Barry went to Washington, D.C., he and James Foreman both went to Washington, D.C. on behalf of SNCC and started the Free D.C. movement. The night Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Dr. King led a march in D.C. for home rule. So part of the struggle has been for DC to have autonomy and not to be treated by a colony the way it has been by the White House and Congress. But now think about this. The argument, and I know you said you don't want to be partisan, but let me just say this, just historically, the Republican Party has always been about states' rights, right? So now you were violating that by sending troops into Chicago, one. Two, Madam Attorney, are we not kind of crossing the line when you send military into Chicago and every other cities? Aren't we also crossing the line of posse comitatus? All right. So there's that legal issue, which is being argued in the state of California right now.
And posse comitatus was from the Civil War. When
That's
after
right.
that, wait a minute, we're not going to have a military force occupy the United States. Well, our military occupy the United States ever again.
Yeah. And Brother Harden, I just want to respond to you. And I respect what you're saying as a violence interrupter, but Biden gave $1 billion to violence interruption programs. Trump has not. So to our sister's point earlier, he's not investing in ending crime or ending conflict. Biden actually did that. So again, whenever we've militarized police, or send the military into our communities, it's never yielded good results. And also look this up, and then I'll be finished. In terms of mass shootings and whatnot, I think someone else said it also earlier. There have been over 300 mass shootings in the United States already this year. So we'll surpass a mass shooting a day by the end of the year. And the majority of those mass shootings have not been in black communities or black neighborhoods. Why ain't he sending the military there? He's not sending military to these other places. And we see mass shootings on television every day. Nothing is being done. No, but this is about rounding up people of color and that visual. And isn't it interesting? I said this is going to be last thing. This is the last thing. He's repeating Ronald Reagan. What did Ronald Reagan created? The welfare queen myth using a so-called mythical welfare queen in Chicago. So Trump now has mythical black women out of Chicago again, who are asking him to send the military into our great city. So I think we just have to think about all
over their children.
Yes.
Who on an ordinary day, you have to have a talk with your black children and brown children. Hey, this is how you behave with the police, because I don't want. But if you comply, you die. Sadly, that happens. I mean,
black children are the victims. Last week we had an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. I'm sorry, shot in the head, and a 9-year-old. Just if you call it friendly fire. So someone was shooting a gun outdoors, came through the window, hit the kid in the head in his living room. This is no. We're the ones that are burying our people. It's like the guy said on TV the other day. We got Black Lives Matter printed in bold yellow paint on the street. But they don't really matter because there's no law and order. Black lives don't matter.
Attorney Linda Bernard, I'm going to ask you, you're an attorney, I want to ask you a question. You believe criminals should be prosecuted,
not killed,
correct? I mean, if somebody commits a crime, you think they, just like the people committing these crimes you just described, you would agree they should be prosecuted and pay the
Absolutely.
price for the crimes they commit, correct?
In a constitutional manner. Their
Not
constitutional rights should not be
Yeah,
violated.
right. So do you not believe Donald Trump should be prosecuted and serve his sentences for his crimes? It's a criminal coming after other criminals.
Wait a minute, hold it. That was such that whole trial situation was such a farce. And incidentally, let me finish. Let me finish. It's got to be overturned on appeal because the feds refused. Biden's U.S. attorney him and herself decided not to prosecute. They said there was no case against.
Should January 6 people have been? Should they have been pardoned? The January 6 insurrectionists?
But it wasn't an insurrection. It was a 3-hour riot. Look at the facts.
So what I need to hear, I need you to hear what I need, with all due respect, I need you to renounce those who killed those U.S. Capitol Police officers.
It was not, by anybody's estimation, an insurrection. Nobody came in there with guns trying to blow up anything.
So no one was killed on January 6th.
The people that were killed were not killed by the rioters. Remember that. They were killed by the police. The officer, the veteran, the lady veteran, she was killed by the Capitol Police. The guy that had the heart attack 3 days later.
There was a Capitol Police officer killed.
The guy that had the heart attack 2 or 3 days later, he was the one who was escorting the shaman around the Capitol. Have you seen the videotape of the video inside the Capitol? These people were escorted around. He even stood at the lectern where the Speaker of the House stands and prayed for the United States of America. And then about 8 or 9 of the Capitol Police escorted him out of the main room and through the whole Capitol. He was walking around.
But Santita, let me say this.
These people were not young, vigorous, fighters.
There were no Capitol Police officers killed.
Let me say this here then. And I appreciate you, Reverend Mark.
On your phone.
Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Violence interrupters can only do so much, and I got that the police can only do so much. But I want to bring you a reality coming out of Chicago, because I'm out here on the deep streets with the people once again. You have kids. If the National Guard is not the answer, which I understand that, then what is the overall answer? Because we can only do so much. You have kids that don't even go to the parks anymore in Chicago. You have so many vacant parks because they're scared to go to the parks, all right? You have people that cannot organize block club parties like they used to in Chicago. I only have so many staff. There's only so many violence prevention programs. Let me just say it. So what I want to put out there, so like I say, we have to come up with an overall solution that's going to work out for the multitudes of the people in Chicago. That's where the problem is coming in at. We've had over 400 homicides in Chicago for decades upon decades. And sometimes it was high as 800 or 900. I'm saying it's incumbent upon us as leaders to really work it out in our community. Just put it like that. And I'm not going to sit up here and applaud Donald Trump for his efforts at all with the National Guard, because things can go totally to the left. But at the same time, we haven't come up with any type of bona fide solution. Talk to the victims of the crime. Talk to the people. I know a mother that just got a window shot out of her house. As soon as she left the front room, somebody shot her entire front windows out because her nephew was he moved over there to live with her, but he didn't tell her that he had all this baggage in the past, and the guys followed him to that house and shot that woman. That woman is terrified to the highest level ever. She's a homeowner. She's retired. She doesn't even want to stay in her house, and her front windows are still shot out right now. I'm talking about as we speak. So it's a lot of drama and trauma in the black. I'm not just the black. I'm talking about the community overall. So we need something. No matter, we need something that's going to be. Well, you tell me, Brother Reverend Mark, what you talking about? We have, because we can only do so much.
I'll tell you what it is very quickly.
Yep.
Talk to me
very quickly. And it's a book I've shared with other violence interrupters doing work around the country, including Erica Ford here in New York.
That's my good friend. I
strongly recommend you pick up this book. If you can't get it, I'll send it to you, brother, as a gift. The book is by the great clinician who's passed away, Amos Wilson.
That's my brother. I know.
The title of the book is Black on Black Violence.
Yes.
The Psychodynamics of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination.
There you go.
Get that book, and that'll make a whole lot of. And again, I'm not just talking out of school. I taught that book at the DC Police Academy when I lived in DC to cut down on police violence. So there are solutions if we're really willing to employ them. And frankly, the work you're doing is important But these are things that can happen before it even gets to you when you've
Without
got
a doubt.
human being in a mediation. You know what I'm saying? That's what we got to do. I'm sure we agree on a lot of that, but please get Amos's book. And, you know, we got to get back in our schools and educate our young people, lift up their self-confidence, self-worth, self-esteem, let them know who they really are, and teach them to love themselves. That's an ongoing process. So it's all
Reverend Thompson, because that's a very, very hard work. It's the soul reparation work.
And it's not just one-on-one. It's not just the individual, right? We can think, my degree's in social work, so we can think micro individual therapy.
Your degree is in what? You went out.
Social work. My master's is in social work. So we can think in social work, working with the individual and raising them up. And then we can also think macro, which is working with the larger community, whether that's a city, whether that's the country. And we know what reduces violence and crime. It's education, it's opportunity, it's employment, it's a future for oneself. And it's not just, we're seeing this everywhere in the United States, right? And it's not just the micro, which matters too. We need individual violence interruption, raising people up. We need confidence building, but we also need to look at our priorities as a country, and whether it's Republican or Democrat. Each year we watch that Pentagon budget grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And we know that wars increase the popularity of a president. And Trump is sending weapons all over the country. All over the world. He hasn't sent troops, but he's sending the troops and he's starting the war right here inside the U.S. And we need to bring that money into education, into job opportunities, into infrastructure, into our communities to build a better society, because that's really what eliminates violence. And, I do a lot of work in the Middle East, and we can look at it there as well, right? We can talk about terrorism in the Middle East, and what really improves that, what really stops that is opportunity. People want to raise good families and have them succeed. We are all the same that way, but we have this structured inequality, right? Both inside the country and worldwide, that wants to keep things in their place and keep those different classes and races separated that way. And who benefits are the weapons manufacturers, right, and the corporations that benefit off that.
But stay right there. The Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show, part 2 of this wonderful discussion that we're having on troops being deployed in urban America. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. And Reverend Mark Thompson, make it plain, of course, brilliant analyst, theologian, and great preacher. You need to hear him preach wherever he is. Whenever he's in town, you need to let us know, because we're all so proud of him, because he's a great preacher. Theo Hardiman, violence interrupter. Dr. LaShawn Latrice, a social psychologist. Okay. Renee Criswell, who has worked with our students for decades as a teacher, social worker and social activist. Ariel Gold, Fellowship of Reconciliation, brilliant attorney Linda Bernard, and police commissioner up in Detroit. I want to continue this conversation because we got to move toward a solution. But I'm glad that we are not an echo chamber here. Okay. I appreciate Tio, Linda, Renee, Ariel, Dr. Latrice, and Reverend Thompson. Everybody's bringing something different to the table here. And the only way we're going to come at a solution is this way. Some people say, hey, wait a minute. I've heard some people say we need more police on the streets. But in an ordinary day, they're afraid of having the police in their streets because it doesn't go well for a whole lot of people. And all police are not the bad apples. I've known so many wonderful police. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who abuse power wherever we go. When we talk on this show, Ariel, what we're looking at is an abuse of power, wherever it is, in whatever sphere. All we're saying is that America, for my portion, Reverend Thompson, is that the way we handle conflict is violently. We are violent in our public discourse. We are violent in every way that matters. And that's the tragedy. We are the greatest purveyors of violence in the world today. That's real. Dr. King said it was so 60 years ago. It is still true today. Bringing guns onto our streets when you have a president who routinely curses and uses vulgar language. He doesn't even approach things peaceably. I don't think that's right. Well, yeah, but no. I mean, I'm saying I don't like any of that because I would like to see, because I know her and I like her, but I'd like to see her elevate. I'm not trying to throw all of her brilliance out with, I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, no. Instead of going to Marjorie Taylor Greene and hurling an insult at her, you have to stop her and say, wait a minute. My colleague on the other side of the aisle, let's elevate this conversation. And then if she doesn't want to do that, you just step back and say nothing. Because in our history, that is what we have done. We have never gone down into the gutter. And we have to elevate that. That is our responsibility. Mm-hmm. And that is where I am going to stay. Because I know in spirit, my grandmothers and my great grandmother and my grandfathers, too many people are looking at me on the other side, cheering me on, and they don't need me to be vocal. They don't need me to come down. And I know that the way you resolve violence is not at the end of a gun.
Right.
Something has got to change. And these people are not, the Pentagon memo said that we are trying to quell unrest. Reverend Thompson, all you have to do, Renee Criswell, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, and Attorney Bernard, is look at these meetings that people are having in the town hall meetings. The town hall meetings are letting you know that we're on the edge of something really, really big here. People are so angry, Reverend Thompson, they can't see straight. And wait a minute, and guess what? The cuts are not going to hit until after the midterms. Wait. When this money when these healthcare cuts when these Medicare and Medicaid cuts kick in, they haven't kicked in yet. Now, mind you, we've got record defaults on credit cards and on mortgages right now. We haven't seen anything yet. These tariffs, we haven't seen anything yet. When that happens, you're going to see all kinds of, these people are preparing, they're doing a rollout on locking dissent down in America. Mm-hmm. And Americans have are real funny, Reverend Thompson. We really do believe we're free. We're a little different than other people around the world. We're like, oh, wait a minute, we don't get down like that. That's why coming to Chicago is going to be real interesting. Did I see your eyebrows go up, Reverend Thompson? Why?
Yeah. Well, one thing you mentioned that there's some good police. That's certainly true. Wow. What I'll share with you all is this, especially in DC, which is also popularly known now as the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. You realize how many police, first of all, already 30 police forces in DC, many of whom are either residents of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. They don't want to do this. This is a community they live in and have worked out relationships with. They feel besieged. You have an autonomous city government in Chicago, an autonomous mayor. How many of those cops want to report to Trump or the Department of Justice or the National Guard? That doesn't even help their morale. Most of those cops also, every night they're trying to get home, they're trying to do their job and provide for their families. They don't want to be ordered around and taken over and put in some mandatory receivership and then go through the discomfort. This is what he requires. If you're a cop, and this is what he's going to do in Chicago, mark my words, you got to let some of them ICE agents ride around in your patrol car with you. Mm-hmm. And then so they can snatch people up. Right. And you know what some of these cops are saying? They don't want to be a part of that because at the end of the day, if someone is mistreated or brutalized, who's liable? The ICE agent in the back seat or the cop who's riding them around? It gets real messy when you get into all that.
It's not messy at all. It's not when an FBI agent is riding. We have 3,000 police officers. If an FBI agent is riding with one of them, it's not a problem. That's not what I'm talking about.
These ICE agents with these masks on.
Detroit police wear masks whenever they
doing jump outs. Wrong.
They do it Every
wrongfully
police department in
detained
America
people
does that,
who are U.S. citizens.
especially when it comes to
Wait,
drug
Linda,
busting and
Linda,
things like
Linda,
that.
wait, Linda,
I'm
stop.
telling you what I know.
Linda,
And
Linda,
what
I,
I
Tell
know.
you what I
Linda,
know.
Linda,
ICE
Linda, I
agents
get
are
no
doing
way.
jump
Everybody
outs.
stop. Everybody stop. One of the things that we do here, Linda, I understand everybody is emotional. And
I'm emotional. I'm a police commissioner.
No, listen.
I know what police do.
Linda,
And we don't throw our credentials.
Linda,
I served on the
wait
police
a minute.
task force in
No,
Washington, D.C.
let
for
me,
years.
wait
Great.
a minute.
That's kind of being in charge of the department.
Everybody
Police
was
job
stop.
hired,
when you're
was on
over
the
the
committee
police.
to hire 2 police chiefs in
Hold
Washington.
on. Everybody stop. Stop. The only way we can have this conversation is if we don't talk over each other. That's what I mean about the emotionalism, Linda. And myself included. Stop. No, stop. Don't do that. Because it's interpreted as being disrespectful. And we don't do that here. So let's not shout over each other. Don't do that. Everybody matters here. Now let's behave that way. We can go back and forth, but it's got to be respectful. And people have to be heard. I cannot hear you when you're talking through somebody. Stop. Now I'm about to release this mute button. And Mark, I want you to finish your point, and then I want you to answer him, Linda. And you all can go back and forth all you want, but don't talk over each other. That's not going to work here. We don't do that here. Mark, your point was?
I was pretty
much
finished. The point I was making is police have expressed in Washington, D.C. and other cities their discomfort with ICE agents riding around in their cars, jumping out and snatching up people who aren't even immigrants who are here illegally or what have you. And, since, Linda may be mean to, but, since we're going to throw out credentials. All right. I served on the police task force for years in Washington, D.C., authored the legislation. We have an Office of Civilian Complaint Review in Washington, D.C. because of legislation I co-authored. I was on search committees for at least 2 police chiefs and also taught at the D.C. Police Academy. So, others of us.
So you both have police credentials. So you understand.
Yeah, and I don't need to throw that around, but I'm just saying,
It's not throwing it around. I think even for the audience, they need to know the context out of which you speak. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not bragging. That's just explaining.
Now, the current police chief. This is what you have to get ready for. Let's talk about Chicago. The current police chief in D.C. Remember, they tried to get her to report to the DOJ. They went to court and the court stopped it. That's what he's going to do. So the question, which you have to consider, even if you want to fight crime, if you want to do all that, is it appropriate for Trump sending any force into Chicagoland and taking over a whole jurisdiction and their police department without the will and consent of the people? That's a fair question. Now, if Chicago wants that, then that's Chicago. But so far, no, LA didn't stand for it. DC didn't stand for it. And I frankly don't think Chicago should either.
Well, Linda, of course.
First of all, LA did stand for it. And as a result, LA didn't burn as a result of what was going on out there, other than, of course, the wildfires. Federal law is the supremacy clause in the Constitution is clear. Federal law supersedes any and all state laws. That's number one. And even though what's his name out there went to court against Trump, against the United States Justice Department, he lost. He lost every case on this issue has been lost. So let's make it clear. And the federal law is absolutely supreme to state law. Secondly, but you were saying about how in DC, and it's great that you served on the task force, and we have the same. As a matter of fact, we have an outstanding civil investigative force that investigates each and every complaint against a police officer. If I think you were rude to me, or if I think that you were overly aggressive toward me, or if I think whatever you did, I can file a civil complaint. We have 30 people who are not police officers, who don't do anything but investigate the police. And while on the subject, if they don't have their body cam on, whatever the citizen says is absolutely right, and we discipline the officer. Because the body cam is the eye in the sky. The body cam tells you exactly what has occurred. We have 3,000 regular sworn officers and 1,000 civilian people in the department. Our crime rate is about 40% down, easily. That doesn't mean that, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't use some extra help. I mean, and no, law-abiding citizens, for the most part, feel good when they see additional law enforcement. Now, in terms of what you said about the mask, in every single police department in the nation has a unit that does drug enforcement. Whenever they're doing drug enforcement, when they coming in your house looking for drugs, they got masks on because they don't want there to be retribution against the officer or the officer's family. That's common police practice. The hoodie, the everything, and the mask, the full face mask. You can't see anything but eyes, if you can see that, because they have on glasses. So no. I don't know what you're talking about. And finally, with respect to ICE, and Santita knows how I feel about this. If you have a door at your house where you're sitting right now, I see the windows behind you. What does that door say? That door says you cannot come in my house without my permission. And guess what? It's against the law. And if I come in your house without your permission, I break down the door, or bum rush the door, or just come and squat, I will be arrested in all 50 states in the union. So what makes you think that people have a right to walk into our country without the permission of the government? I can't walk in your house without your permission. You cannot walk into my country without our permission. And when that occurs, you are in the commission of a crime, and you gotta go. You have a right to do it right. And then finally, my final point on that is that we have, I don't know how many thousands of people who've done all the right things to get in the country, fill out the paperwork, then have the background checks, won't be on welfare when they get here, won't be on Medicaid, Medicare, or anything else when they get here. Thousands of people waiting to come in lawfully. So if you and I are going to the movie theater tonight, and you and I paid our ticket, we're waiting in the line to get in the movie theater, and here come a whole bunch of folks going to bum rush the line and go ahead of me. Oh, heck no.
But Linda, we have talked about this so many times.
But I'm saying that in response to what he was saying about ICE.
No, but I'm just saying,
they gotta go.
The corporations are bringing them here. President Bush.
That's not happening anymore.
No, stop.
I know that.
No. It bears repeating. It bears repeating. And so we had the largest transfer of human capital, of human beings in history after Hurricane Katrina. They moved those Black folks out of there, and they blew a hole in Black power because Black people were dispersed all over the country. Instead of letting those people stay in the Gulf and rebuild their homes, President Bush relaxed the labor laws in the Department of Labor and brought South and Central Americans here to go to work for cheap.
Good. They came lawfully.
So that's no. They didn't come lawfully. They were brought here because it's another form of enslavement. Are you for real? I'm sorry, Renee.
Okay, Santita, you guys mentioned Japan earlier. My daughter taught in Japan when she was in college. It was a beautiful place, she said. One thing they don't have that we have are guns. Their citizens can't have guns. So guess what? They don't have very many gun deaths. They might have 2 or 3 in a year. That's the difference between them and us. Regarding police officers, I must say that my daughter's godson, Stephen Rosenthal, was shot in the head by a policeman about 5 years ago in August on the weekend of his birthday. He was not bothering anyone. He was celebrating his birthday, and he decided to walk up the stairs because he was going to get some water. He was shot. The body cam didn't catch it, but all the people in the neighborhood started shouting, "They just shot Shorty." He was not a thug. He was not in gangs, but he was killed by the police. And we marched, and some of the instigators that you mentioned joined crowds. They joined our marches. We marched.
Was the officer indicted? Was the officer
No.
indicted?
But
Wow.
many of them have not been. Many of them have not been. They don't talk about it. I think they got a settlement eventually. It was all over the news. Father Flager had news conferences. He was the young man, the boy, he was 15, just turned 15. He was part of this basketball group where the pro basketball player who had the group came and talked about how great the child was. But the police tried to paint a picture of him being suicidal. No, he was not. His mom had died. They tried to use that to say that's why he killed himself. He was walking up the stairs. They shot him. I've known of other cases where police have shot people. I also know some good police officers.
No, but that was
but there are a lot of racist police officers in Chicago, and the type of people Trump is hiring for ICE, having posters saying we're looking for patriotic people who can help us get rid of these immigrants, even while on the other hand, he just let all these racist South Africans come into our country. And there are lots of Ukrainians who came in, and we gave them all kinds of social services. If you want to reduce crime in Chicago, to help Mayor Johnson keep the crime going down, because it's been going down, bring back services, don't take away from health care, add to it. Don't take away from mental health care, add to it. Don't take away federal dollars from education, add to it. They know what to do to make things better. They're purposely trying to make things worse. And speaking of mass shootings, there was one last week in Austin, Texas, by a white guy. He shot 3 people. Two were Asians, I believe, and one was Hispanic. They took him to prison once they caught him alive, unlike what they do to our children. Even when they're not doing anything, they can end up dead just because there are some people who are racist and they don't like us. And that seems to be who Trump is trying to hire. People who are picking up immigrants and they don't know if they're legal or not, but they look like they might be because they're brown, and they pick them up. And I've heard them bragging about getting bounties for picking people up. They're putting bounties on the heads of brown people and black people. That's not the kind of country I want to live in. And what they're doing is unconstitutional. And Trump is trying to bend the law as much as possible to see just how much he can get away with. And we cannot let him get away with that, or we won't have any type of laws whatsoever.
I agree with you. I see your comment, Santita. The Big Four was abolished years ago. It was a racist group, 4 cops in a car, big sedan, all 4 doors open at the same time. It was notorious. It's one of the reasons we had the consent decree in Detroit for 11 years, and now our police department is totally constitutional.
Well,
but no, I understand what you're saying. I just saw your comment on your thing.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you have Solomon and Ethelene. These people are saying keep on going. They are totally with you. That's why I'm appreciative of the diversity of opinions here, and to hold to it. All I ask is that we do it respectfully, so that we can hear what people are saying. What were you saying?
I just make a real quick comment. People are watching your broadcast from across the country. One of the things that we've done that has, I think, making a difference is just a month ago, for example, we put a curfew on everybody under 18. If you're below the age of, I think, 12 or something, you have to be off the streets by 10. If you're 17, you have to be off the streets by 11. Period. Because most of this stuff happens late at night. There's the black parties. We had a black party, 13 people shot at one black party. Girls. These were girls. These weren't even guys. And everybody's
no one disagrees with that.
So I'm just saying.
There's something called devil's hours.
Well, no, it's not that.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't think that any 17-year-old should be out really at 10 o'clock at night. It's too late.
Right.
It's too.
But what we do, Santee, is we ticket the parents. It's $250 for the first violation.
But that's
$500 for the second. We're not fooling around with this. Know where your kids are and have them at home.
I get that. But what Renee is talking about, and I think what Reverend Thompson is talking about also, and Dr. Latrice, is that when you are closing park districts or underfunding them, when we are shutting down, say, midnight basketball, we're spending all of this money in these military misadventures because we're going to try and overtake Venezuela. Good luck. That is their oil. It does not belong to us. There's nothing wrong with Maduro. His people like him. The people he throws out are people we sent down there trying to overthrow his government, and he's not tolerating it, and they're not either. All I'm saying to you is we need to get out of everybody else's business. But in a minute, Dr. King said, there will be a moment. Your arrogance will become hubris if you keep on going. And some little country and you whose name you will not know will check you, America. And that's where we're heading. Be very, very clear. We're watching things turn over in real time. The where you've been is not where you're going. You don't know. You know where you've been. You don't know where you're going. You don't know. You don't know what God's got in store for you. My pastor's wife used to tell us that, Mrs. Luther May Evans, and I know that to be true. I've seen the high brought low and the low brought high. I've seen it. So what we need to do, wait a minute. This is not the way to resolve people. You don't make people loving by being hateful. There is nothing that these people have done that has been, that you don't try to wipe out the Department of Education and reduce educational opportunities for people and say that you want to help them. I don't care what you say. Dr. Mary Frances Berry was tasked by Jimmy Carter to create a Department of Education. This is one of the most brilliant minds that the country has ever produced. She did not create a mess. Some people made a mess. The Department of Education, as it has turned out, was not her idea. Why don't you ask a woman who constructed it? First of all, they never even asked her to be the secretary. That's a shame. This is the first Black person in American history to be the head of a major white university, the University of Colorado in Denver. She's got her bona fides. So just stop. These people are not serious. And you cannot be serious about doing anything for anybody if you're taking food off of their tables. You're making them more desperate. We got started doing this show late today because I said, I've got to run downstairs and get my boxes because their people are stealing them. I live in a nice building. Doesn't matter. Well, guess what? Everybody on the panel said, oh, hey, that's happening everywhere now. Now. Because the money is funny. And then this about to turn. No, you say that from a comfortable place. More and more people can't pay their credit card bills. More and more people using Afterpay and Klarna and whatever else to buy their groceries. Are you? I'm about to get a Black homesteader on here in a couple of days so she can tell us how we can grow some vegetables on our patch of grass. Because we need to do that. Because people cannot afford the basics. They can't. And it's not because they're sorry. It's not because they're lazy. It's because their paycheck can't get them their payday can't get them to Monday.
Right.
Because everybody's starting off behind. Public school teachers are starting off behind. Garbage workers are starting off behind. The garbage workers Dr. King marched for in Memphis still do not have unionization. They blew his neck off over that. Well, they blew his neck off because he wanted peace. He did not want war. He said, stop giving money to the military-industrial complex. We need a great society. You can't have a great society and have great war. Dr. King was all right when he talked about desegregating America, but when he talked about making America fair, when he talked about the economic inequality, when he talked about, hey, putting all this money in the military-industrial complex, they said, we got to eliminate him because he is on the verge of becoming the biggest leader of the anti-war movement, because he had already been the lead speaker, the keynote at the largest anti-war march up to that point, 1 million people in New York City. That's when he was targeted for elimination. They said he's got to go. Smedley Butler, a veteran, wrote the book, War is the Racket. This book is almost 100 years old. He said, my experience in war has shown me the only people who are paid, he didn't put it quite this way, but it's the military industrial contractors. Why are they leaving crates of guns that are fully loaded in Chicago on the railroad tracks? That's happening here.
Right.
That's happening right here in Chicago. And people are asking, nobody answers that question. Chicago's got cameras everywhere, but ain't nobody telling us why these and where these guns are coming from and why they're here.
And then they alert gang members or young people to get the guns. They don't just stop the railroad cars and leave them open, they let people know, hey, you can come and just pick up what you want.
And they have always used these gangs for nefarious purposes. They would spray paint, they would graffiti all over the town, all over our neighborhoods. Don't vote. They've always been connected. It's just like gangsters have always been connected to government. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just keep it real right here. Let's just stop this. Nobody's anti-police here. No, I'm anti-corruption wherever it is. If it's in the pulpit or with the police, I don't care.
True.
I don't care. All I know is that in this environment, when the man who killed George Floyd is trying to get out of jail, and he could, when we saw him choke him to death. Huh?
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous. And when you have a society that allows that and that welcomes that, Reverend Thompson, they're not sending these people to keep the peace. They're sending them here to break it. That's what that is what is upsetting to me.
That's not true.
And that I believe that.
They're sending him here so they'll stand down, because a show of force makes a difference. What is it that we've always, even as corporate leaders and so forth, you, Santita, you and I, you have to be in a position of strength. But that makes for peace.
But right makes might. Might does not make right.
No, I didn't say it made it right. I'm just saying we're talking about peace. We're talking about
and peace. You cannot have a violent act that gives us peace.
Right.
Reverend Thompson.
Right. And if we follow,
I want to talk to Mark too. Go ahead.
Oh, please go for it.
If we say,
no, Mark, what I wanted to tell you is that one of the other things that we've initiated here that's made a huge difference is we've got all the people that are like used to be criminals or been in prison for years and everything. We now, there's a series of different community organizations that have started that are really made up of these people. These are the guys that spent 30 years in the joint, 20 years in the joint, 10 years, and the women. And they go into the community and they deal directly with young people and other people who are violent. And that's really the reason that our crime is way down. Police are okay, but in reality, it's the funding of these organizations. We have districts for them. Like this gang has this area, and we pay that gang to keep the peace there. It's not a gang, it's a nonprofit. But I'm just saying, it's people that have been in that life and everything. And I disagree with you, Santita, about the Department of Education being defunded. If I'm spending trillions of dollars and I'm 40th out of 40, you gotta go, baby. Gotta go.
No, but they're not spending.
You're not gonna pay for failure.
But no, they're not spending trillions.
Pay for success.
No. Wait.
Would you use your money?
No. Wait. Because my sister's PhD is in global education policy.
She's outstanding.
And she has taught and studied education systems all over the world.
Correct.
And what is mind blowing to her and painful, she said, when you're in Norway, you turn on the radio and you can learn about 7 or 8 languages. I said, oh, I know, because I lived over there for about 4 or 5 months when I was 14. Yeah, I remember that. America does not have a mind to educate anyone, because educated people are governed. Uneducated people are managed. And uneducated people are compliant. They're poorly paid. They're frightened to death. And you can do anything you want to them, you think. Everybody's got a breaking point. America is not going to do well. This is not going to go well for the United States, because we're not treating people right. It is a sin, Reverend Dr. Thompson, to not allow people to realize their potential. And Reverend
Thompson, there's personal responsibility in this.
No, I know that's all. Look, wait a minute. Don't talk to me about
everybody's a victim.
No. You didn't hear me say that. We are being victimized, but I'm from a space where even when you're being victimized, you overcome that. So don't give me that, Linda.
I agree with that.
Because no. I grew up with teachers who didn't like Reverend, and my mother's point was, it means you got to study harder, you got to work harder, because they are going to grade you down. I get it. So don't give me that. Everybody's not a victim. Reverend has the problem that conservatives had with Reverend Jackson was that they were like, he gives us the conservative message. The problem was he would not let them go on racism.
Right.
See, that's where I depart from Republicans. Because what they want us to do, I sound like them on a lot of things. It's just on this tricky little thing on racism and slavery. I don't let them go. And they got a problem with me because you know what? I also understand my people. And even as they frustrate me sometimes, I understand us and I love us. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down for us and challenge us too. Reverend
I think Renee's trying to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say the one thing that's different between our country and say countries like Japan and the Netherlands, they have pretty heterogeneous populations, I would say more so than the United States. And unlike their countries, our country had laws that made it illegal for us to learn. And in spite of those laws and in spite of all the obstacles they've tried to put before us, we've still excelled. Personally, I live in Chicago, in what is probably considered one of the bad areas of the city, high crime rate.
Let's say under-resourced and
under-resourced, definitely.
Yeah.
And I had to maneuver to get my children into different schools, looking for a school where there were people who really wanted to teach them. Fortunately, my son managed to go get a degree from Harvard Law School. I had a daughter who graduated magna cum laude from Vanderbilt, degree in honors psychology with a minor in Chinese. She studied in China and she can speak Korean and some Japanese.
Go ahead.
Daughter who graduated from UIC, summa cum laude.
All right now.
So they came from over here. We valued education.
And they came from public schools, yes?
Public schools.
Thank you.
Like I said, I tried to find the public school that would fit, because there was one school down the street that said she had to teach to the middle regarding my son. She couldn't give him work on his level. She didn't look like me. There was a teacher who I really admired, who was a great teacher at our neighborhood school. And she said, get them out of here so they could go someplace with resources. I would have loved for that school to have resources. Emmanuel eventually closed that school after draining it of all the resources. There's a park across from that school. Emmanuel took the basketball court that the young Black guys used to.
You mean the mayor?
Mary Manuel. He also removed the swings from the park and only put baby swings in, because across the street from the park were some new townhomes that they developed with people who were gentrifying the neighborhood. So they removed resources for our kids so they could have an outlet over there. We need resources put back. And I think that's what Mayor Brandon Johnson is talking about. Let's put the swings back in. Let's give our kids some place to go so that they're not out getting into trouble.
By the library.
Well, they're closed. They don't have the books there, Linda. The libraries that you knew,
computers. They got
and the libraries that I knew, they're not. They don't.
Right. That's gone.
Really? I didn't know that.
But here's the other thing. This same group of people we're talking about who want to militarize, they've been fighting against the right and truthful history being taught to our children in schools. It all works together. They just finished redistricting, doing an out of census redistricting, racist redistricting in a place called Texas. This is an overall takeover. But two things I want to say. Just for the record, Santita talked about going ahead to get her package. She's mentioned it several times. She said,
I went and got them. Yeah.
She went and got them. She's living in a nice building. I want to confirm that she does. I've dropped her off at her home before. She does live in a nice building. I want to confirm that for anybody who needs
First
to know
class on the lake.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. That's when we want to go. So, yeah, no joke. We can do a whole show on that. But now, we've not heard much, with all due respect, Madam Host. We've not heard much from Dr. Latrice. And I don't know what kind of doctor she is. You're a medical doctor. Give us some medical advice for this situation.
Psychologist.
Psychologist? That's
I'm
still
a
medical.
community psychologist. Yes, I'm a community psychologist.
Then you
Okay,
better
wait a
learn.
minute. You need some
I
psychology.
enjoy these conversations. I enjoy the diversity of the conversations, and I also am a good listener because I do understand that we all have different perspectives based on where we are, where we grew up. I am a product of the public schools, born and raised in Chicago. Very proud.
Wait a minute, hold on,
Dr.
Dr. Latrice.
Young.
Dr. Latrice,
Yes.
your connection
Yes.
is fine because we're not hearing everything. We're hearing every other word.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Go back. Let me hear it one more time.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can.
Okay. I think it's the office where I'm at. It's awful.
Oh, that's all right.
The connection probably has something to do with this office. I was just saying that I was not. I was listening. I was taking in a lot of the responses. I am in the area that you all are speaking on. I believe right now bringing militarization to Chicago is exacerbating. I think that we have been traumatized a great deal, and we continue to be traumatized. Happening, and every time Trump is going, then everybody
Hold
starts
on.
getting worried and
Dr. Latrice, this is what we're going to do. Perhaps you should come to us on your phone.
Yes. Okay.
You have a smartphone.
I'll switch.
Shut that down because that
Yes.
requires less bandwidth. So come out and then we'll come. And you, as soon as you come back, just use that link and come back.
Okay.
Okay. Because we want to hear everything that she's saying. Because I heard her say something about trauma, Reverend Thompson and Renee Criswell. And you teach these kids and you have defended these people, Linda. And so we're going to work that out, Robert, because she is, we're dealing with a little bit of, I'm going to have her remove her from the stage and wait for her to come back. Because I remember my father saying the same thing. He said, you have to remember, Black people have been so wounded and broken. And I don't think that that's why what they're doing at the Smithsonian is so dangerous. So when you have Jillian Michaels, who says only 2% of white people own slaves, so it wasn't really that much of a big deal. No, but she is also young, and she believes that. No, she has been reared into that, and the tragedy is that's why we have to stop with the lies. Immigrants did not build this country; enslaved people did. Immigrants came here to get jobs and to build on our foundation and to occupy the infrastructure.
Get in line.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. Okay, thank you, Carter G. Woodson. It's just the truth. Oh no, I'm clear on that. And so we're not telling the truth about the reason we all look the way we do. I was 7 years old, Reverend Thompson, when my parents, Renee, took me with them to Ghana and to Nigeria. And we were on the trip with Whitney Young when he died, Renee.
Oh, wow.
And can you imagine me having dinner with him the night before, breakfast that morning? We go shopping that afternoon, come back. He's drowned.
Oh,
I was
How did
7.
he die?
Yeah.
How
He
did
drowned.
he die?
He was out, having lunch on a boat, on a yacht, small yacht, and he drowned. He was with Ramsey Clark, the former Attorney General of the United States, and his wife, and a big businessman, and that party, and he drowned. That having been said, when you get there, and this is like in 1971, and this is when we were really just first going back, right? And they looked at my mother and they said, "Oh, my sister, you're home. Ah, and you're from blah, 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 blah." And they looked at my father and they said, "Well, well, he is our brother. He's our brother, but they put him in the Arab world. Okay, or just that's where they put him. Because when he
Again, I
looked at
forgot.
well, no, just wait one moment. When they looked at me and I had my big bush, I was excited because we finally got my little afro together. They looked at her and I remember them saying, and I didn't know what they meant. They said, "So much has happened."
Oh.
And my mother hugged me and she said, "Don't worry about it, baby. I'll tell you about it sometime." Because I was confused. I you know I didn't quite I didn't understand that at all. I came to understand it after I'd had the birds and the bees and that kind of talk. And I really understood it when my father's mother refused to even hear about roots, Mark. She said, "Do you think I want to be reminded of why we look as we do?" Now, mind you, she was raised in part by her white grandfather, who married my great great grandmother. Didn't matter. Because she was like, oh, and Rosa Parks, if you read the book At the Dark End of the Street, she said, part of what keeps me fighting is when I look in the mirror every day, I see the abuse. So to not tell that story, it's an insult. When I saw the movie The Help, and the character who played the maid to the white couple, the white woman who had come from a poor part of Tennessee, and she was rejected by the fine ladies in town. You remember that character? But she was married to one of the fine men in the town. Remember when she was coming home with the groceries, and the husband of her boss was driving up beside her slowly and was saying, "Hey, hey," and she became frightened to death. Remember that? And she threw those bags of groceries because she was ready. She was ready to fight him. The white people in the theater laughed. I was crying inside because I knew that she was afraid she was going to be raped. Because that's our experience. Black men have had no rights that a white man was bound to respect, and black women have had no virtue that he was bound to respect either. So as long as we're here, let's tell the truth. I love the police. I respect and appreciate the police, the fire persons, anyone who runs into trouble. I respect that. Because even though we fight against the corruption that we see on the police force, guess what? When there's trouble, I'm going to call them and I expect them to act right.
True.
But what I'm saying is President Eisenhower warned against the influence, material and spiritual, of the military-industrial complex. This man wrote a book entitled Waging Peace, which I just got. I just got the first edition. I had to pay a pretty penny for it. Because I wanted to hear not what they watered down with second and third edition. I wanted to hear what he wrote, since he was heading in that direction. We are a civilian society. The military is supposed to answer to us. We're not supposed to answer to them.
They do.
No. The way they're setting this up, they're setting, I'm telling you.
President cannot be in the military.
No.
President has to be a civilian under the Constitution.
And that's why he shouldn't be saluting. That was something Dwight Eisenhower refused to do. The first president who saluted the military was an actor named Reagan. He was acting out a role. And it's dangerous. What they're doing in Washington, what they're going to do in Chicago, and all what they did in LA, it's dangerous. And it's designed to instill fear. And fearful people do foolish things. Dr. Latrice, unmute yourself so we can make sure that we can hear you.
Yes, can you all hear me?
Now we can. Keep talking.
Okay, sorry about the internet. I was just introducing that I am a community psychologist, born and raised here in Chicago. I am a product of Chicago Public Schools, a graduate of Whitney Young, FAMU, National Louis University. I went to a number of universities. However, what brought me to the area of community psychology is that I was attracted to what we could do in a collaborating form of prevention, where we could focus on grassroots and systemic issues that empower the community. So what we do as community psychologists, we look for environmental factors that influence individual well-being. We want to just kind of increase the knowledge of that fosters systemic change, but we also are interested in analyzing the social systems that have put mechanisms in place to go against disenfranchised populations. So one of the things I'm working on now is to use my knowledge and a group of people who are like me, like-minded, to go into school districts, professional environments, organizations, anything that's construed as a stakeholder in the community. We want to pull those factors, those people together, and find out how we could collaborate to work to make things better. And if we can start by addressing some of the issues that are affecting small children, everything from conflict resolution to restorative justice practices. Those things are going to be paramount in achieving the type of social justice and equity that we need and that we should have in our community. So we have to make more of an investment environmentally. And let's talk about, pulling together factors that don't just put people to the side and try to give them a pill or something to try to make things better, because that's not going to work. I mean, this is years and years of just intentional damage that's been done on us. And so now what we have to do is just fight back. And so I am a social justice advocate, a community psychologist. My master's is in public policy. I'm very, very much interested in the failed policies that have not worked, and I want to restructure. And I'm also a person with lived experiences, so I want to join forces with other people, and I want to talk about those things that have impacted people that no one wants to talk about. So very intentional conversations need to be had as well. And so I am very much interested in a lot of what was being said on the panel. I just believe that trauma is being exacerbated here with the militarization that they're trying to present. I think people are afraid right now, and I think we've heightened the anxiety and we've increased the traumatic episodes that people are experiencing now. And I think it's more of a mental health issue that's being impacted. I've never seen this much on this scale of mental health and social anxiety issues that have existed without any real support. We don't have real support. And now what's being done now with the medical programs that many people have, they're not paying for them to see counselors and things, people that can assist them to talk about the issues that they may be having that's affecting their mental health. And before the policies were being changed, people could go to counselors in the COVID world. You could go to a counselor. You could use your medical benefits that you had, and you didn't have to pay out of pocket. That's a lot different. A lot that's changing, and people are just very, very much in disarray. The price of groceries have increased. Everything around us has increased. So people don't know where to turn. So could you just imagine now you're talking about bringing in a group of people to watch over you? Oh, that's very, very intimidating. And it's going to just make things a lot worse for people. And I just don't understand how people cannot see, people don't know when you're not familiar with something, and when you're being talked to as if, you have a dictatorship going, people already feel like they have no choice no matter what. And so just imagine, like, they're going to pretty much be confined to their homes next.
Mark, do you have a response to? Oh, I'm sorry, Linda. Mark asked you the question, so I wanted him to respond.
Well, no, and I appreciate what Latrice Dr. LaShawn Latrice just shared, and I appreciate her wisdom and experience. And again, these are the things that we have to do to save and rebuild our communities ourselves. And what Amos Wilson said in that book, I recommend it. I'm going to mention it one more time. Black on Black violence, the psychodynamics of Black self-annihilation in service of white domination. He talked about how we in our own community are best equipped to solve our own problems ourselves. And for the police and any other occupying force, because that's what Trump is doing. He is occupying our communities, not occupying the white community.
Right.
He's not even occupying white communities. that have some of these so-called immigrants in them that he wants to get out. You mentioned Santita. These corporations bring these, go occupy them. So the point I'm making is what Dr. Latrice has articulated is exactly what we need to be about. And I'm so sorry with that. I've got to run.
Well, give us your closing thought before you go. Because
well, I mean that's pretty much it. I hope that Chicago's in a better position than DC because DC is still a colony. Congress and Trump can literally hold up DC's budget. That's how bad it is, and that's why we've been fighting for statehood for so long. This is the 30th anniversary of my release from jail. I was in jail for a month in 1995, standing up for DC statehood. And that's a struggle that we will continue to fight as long as we can. Chicago, get ready. Chicago, do not yield. If we're going to end violence in Chicago, it is the people of Chicago and the Black community of Chicago who will do it, not Donald Trump, because he's not really interested in ending it either. Again, this is a pilot for, he is a reality show clown. And he is only, that's all he knows. So this is a reality show. This is a loop, drama, craziness. And it's interesting, it really hasn't worked out well for him because nobody's really resisted. Nobody's fought back. He would love to have video of folk fighting and carrying on, all us in the street getting our heads clocked in by the National Guard. And trust these National Guard people in National Guard, let me be clear, a lot of folk in the military, that's called the economic conscription. What I mean by that, folks in the military, because they're getting jobs, they're getting income, and they're getting school paid for. There's nobody in the National Guard to go patrol Chicago. And for real, check this out. Let's be real about this. Cops risk their lives every day. Nobody wants to go in and get involved in no shootout with no hardened criminals and gangs on none of these city streets, including National Guard people. Nobody signed up for that.
Right.
So it's just all, it puts everybody at risk unnecessarily. This is not the solution. This is for him to look like he's I'm the big bad man doing this, that, and the other. And for him to distract from his other foolishness and distract Santita, like you said, from what's really coming down the pike. Because a whole lot of folk are going to lose a lot, including white folk. Do y'all know what a rural hospital, how many of y'all ever drove around in the country for miles and never seen no hospital?
They just closed the hospital where my doctor was practicing. And it's in Chicago and it's on the Gold Coast. They closed it. So wait.
That's what we do.
I'm here to tell you the bad part. My brother's in Congress. He said the bad part's not even here yet. No, I know. He's right. He's right. That is the and all of that. So we're gonna make everything crime to distract from everything that is coming down the pike. Let me repeat the title. It is Black. Just look up Amos Wilson. Black on Black violence. And it's not, we don't like that terminology. That's not terminology he was celebrating, but as a point of reference, Black on Black violence by Amos Wilson, who, like our dear sister Latrice, was also an outstanding clinician in our community. And we miss him every day. And that's why we need more. A correctional officer for lockdown. Dr. Connery Worrell was one of my mentors. There in Chicago, didn't do a lot without him. Miss him terribly too. Amos Wilson, Black on Black violence. Okay. Amos Wilson, Black on Black violence. Love you all of love you and thank
nice
you.
Meeting you. Very nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting you.
Really, I was very close.
I look forward to seeing you again.
And I was a very close friend of Joanne Watson.
Are you?
And John, I was at her funeral. Yeah, I was another loss, and I still
not your friend.
Yeah, so God bless you all. Santita, thank you.
Love you and thank you
for all you're doing. Folks, noon tomorrow, you can go on YouTube, Make It Plain, or just look up Make It Plain. Jesse Jackson Jr. will be joining me on Make It Plain on my show tomorrow at noon Eastern. So y'all come on. Thank you very, very much.
I used to be on Cliff Kelly's show.
And take this.
Well, Cliff is my cousin, Renee.
I know.
Cliff is my mother's first cousin. Cliff's mother and my grandfather were siblings. And y'all please keep Cliff lifted up in your prayers as well. Okay?
Absolutely. All right. Great Cliff Kelly. And everybody, Reverend Mark Johnson, how can we catch you?
Go to makeitplain.com or go on YouTube, Make It Plain, Facebook, Make It Plain. all of that. And again, tomorrow at noon Eastern, Jesse Jackson Jr. Also, my Instagram, which we're streaming on. Right, I'm streaming the Santita Jackson Show on all of my platforms, y'all, right now. On Instagram, Minister with 2 T's. You can see us right there too. Tomorrow, live at noon. Okay,
Eastern.
noon Eastern.
Okay.
Appreciate
Before you go, Mark, can I say one thing to you? There are 3 things I'm going to ask you to do that I think that have been enlightening to me. The first is that last night I watched the movie Straw with Taraji P. Henson.
Yep.
Please watch it.
Okay.
It talks about
I
all
haven't
things.
seen it yet. I'm gonna look at it.
Poverty, childhood, children, all that stuff. The second thing I want you to watch, if you don't, everybody is listening to you today, it's on Netflix, so you can see it. It's really, really good. She deserves an Academy Award for it. The other one is that I've seen this week was the new movie with Denzel, where he's playing like Barry Gordy, like Detroit.
Highest to lowest.
Really good acting. And then the third one I want you to watch is Hillbilly Elegy. That's the book that the vice president wrote because he's a hillbilly and dirt poor.
No.
Was a junkie until just 12 years ago.
And actually, he was not. That was the interesting part, because the people in Appalachia, because I've had them on. Wait, just so that you know, you should see the movie. But they're angry with him because they felt that we're still rolling, that he misrepresented poor white people for his social benefit. I'm just telling you, because he wasn't raised by his mother. I think that's an issue for him.
It was really his grandmother. And Glenn Close deserves an Academy Award for her performance.
So he didn't come from that exactly. And so the people in Appalachia, and they have, when the book first came out and when the movie came out, they came out with their critiques, but it was quickly shut down because I think they knew what plans they had for this young man.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we do know is that you have perpetual poverty of white people in Appalachia and throughout the country. And more people, red, yellow, black, brown, and white. That is our reality. And it should not be. My pastor, Reverend Clay Evans, may he rest in heavenly peace, said, "I've never seen God make a mouth that he could not feed." Mm-hmm. There's more than enough in this world for everybody. No one should be poor. No one should be without. I'm not saying that everyone can be rich. No. But what I'm saying is that it is a sin, a grievous sin, for anyone to be hungry, to be unhoused, to be unclothed, and to be unable to become the vision that God sent you here to be.
Mm-hmm.
Straw will make you cry. You'll cry.
I believe.
No, I want to watch it.
Garage is so bad.
Poverty. Well, let me say this in close. Poverty, Santita, hunger. All of them are forms of violence themselves. When the LA rebellion broke out after Rodney King, they asked me to come on this national TV show, and they wanted me to be one of those preachers to criticize the rioters. He said, "Reverend Thompson, what you going to do about this violence?" I said, "Well, the violence had already begun. These are people who are impoverished, homeless, and jobless. That's violence right there. They are reacting to the violence they've already experienced." And what did Dr. King say? Riots are the voices of the unheard. But so that's what we're dealing with. But I'm gonna end on
Reverend, the biggest problem we have right now is the African American family. I mean, no fathers in homes. Baby, I got a baby by 4 different folks. I mean, it's so. I'm just telling you. I'm looking at it in Detroit.
It's
the truth.
No.
The family.
There have been studies that have shown
Renee's situation
that black men are more involved with their children than white men.
That's what I saw as a teacher. That's what I saw.
That's the CDC.
I can't understand what you said. I'm sorry.
The most involved father in the United States, more involved with his children from birth to the age of 5, is the black father. He spends more time reading to his children, feeding his children, playing with his children, pouring into his children than white fathers or Hispanic fathers. That is the biggest lie. And I'm gonna tell you something. As the daughter, and you got a daddy too, but as the daughter of a father who's one of the busiest people on the planet, my father wouldn't hire a secretary without telling them, when my wife and children called, no matter what I'm doing, you stop me and you put them through.
That's right.
And guess what? I know every black father I know is that way, unless he and the mother or the wife had some kind of breakdown, and we got to stop that as women. And
I agree that fathers love their children.
And that's a whole different story.
But maybe it's the mothers that are the problem.
No, you're right.
I don't know.
And you know what? And I'm tired of seeing black men slammed like that because it's a lie.
I don't slam black men. I love black men.
I'm just saying it's a lie.
You know that.
And I'm saying it's a lie.
Attorney, let me say this in closing.
Maybe it's the women. Maybe it's the mothers.
Whatever it is, we're not going to do it right now. Don't throw it out there until we can have a fuller conversation about it. Stop.
But I do want to say to each of you as queen mothers, so I want everybody to watch this now. Let's put aside our community. Women, period, as head of households are on the rise because women have gone to college. Women have more opportunities, getting jobs. Now watch this. What Trump has done, this is also on Netflix. I can't think of the name of the show right now. What he and Peter Thiel and the Elon Musk of the world have done have created this manosphere of white men that resent all women. And now some of our black men have assimilated into it. So they're even instigating a war of men against women. We have to be aware of that, be very, very careful about that.
And these are men who don't like women. Hold on.
Right.
Because you got Elon Musk who has a baby every month. Somebody else don't wait a minute. If you want to talk about
So does our man.
No. If you
Nick Cannon.
No. You were talking about, but Nick Cannon has demonstrated that he's got a relationship with all of his children. So since we're talking about black men, no one mentions Elon Musk, who's a pronatalist who wants to pay white people to have children, but he doesn't want me to have mine.
But I want Sister Linda to hear what we're doing about the issue she raised.
Okay.
Because black men are being targeted by white male incel culture. It's called incels, involuntary celibate. Because a lot of white men are waking up. They don't want to do these things.
He just finished it if you stop talking over it.
Yeah, incel. Incel means involuntarily celibate. So the argument that white men are
involuntarily celibate.
The argument that white men are making is that white women don't want them no more, rightfully so. And they're mad about it, right? And some black men have assimilated into it. That's why you hear these black men. We all been black all our lives. We see black men on the internet saying, "I'm not supporting a black woman president." We never seen nothing like that. Right. All of that was a part of assimilation. Right. 30 years ago, and as I take my leave, we as black men, the only group of men, the only species of man, the only culture of man in history, stood on October 16th on the steps of the Capitol and atoned for our mistreatment toward our women. And now we've been put in a reversal through the targeting. Black men are targeted for disinformation more than any other group. So stay tuned for the news, because 30 years later, this year, October 16th, we're going to reclaim that pledge we made, stand up as men and fathers, atone for our misdeeds, take responsibility, and build reconciliation with our families. So that's what I'm working on right now, under the blessing of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's what we're going to do. And all of these men, most of the brothers at the Million Man March were not members of the Nation of Islam.
That's true.
2 million. So that is what we are going to do to get our men back. I'm going to share something else to y'all too. Is one of the pledges we took that had one of the people said Million Man March didn't accomplish anything. You all realize, God rest his soul, we just lost Brother Leonard Dunstan, National Association of Black Social Workers. He said, y'all, we need to make a commitment that more Black children are adopted and brought into foster families with Black families. Because it was disproportionate number of white folks adopting and fostering our kids. Black adoptions by Black families and Black foster homes skyrocketed. Remember Santita? At the Million Man March. And God bless Reverend Jackson, because a whole lot of preachers were insecure. Reverend Jackson, don't go to Million Man March. Reverend Jackson, don't go to Million Man March. Reverend Jackson and I ran each other in the airport, and he was, man, I said, let me tell you something, Reverend. This is bigger than all of us. This is a spiritual moment. This ain't the regular kind of march. I said, I need you there. You got to be there. He said, you're right, I'm going to be there. And he gave the best speech. Y'all go back and watch it on C-SPAN. What can a million men do? That was the topic of his speech. And he talked about
because his issue was
men.
Well, because his issue was if you're going to go to the Capitol, the political capital, then what you've got to do is talk about. You can't go there and not talk about policy.
That's right.
So,
And
which
and
is
the,
what
and the policies
the
that
policies
hinder
that are
us
impacting
from
our
being
men. He
effective
was the
black men.
only, he was the one who talked about policy because they were having a big vote on some big issue the next day.
That's
He
right.
said, you can't come here and not do that. Otherwise, you go to some spiritual pastor and do that.
That's right. That's right.
Because I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna go, but that's
But I
what,
love you.
and we're
But can
doing.
you come back? Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Honey?
good. Are you okay?
Oh, honey, I'm good. Can you
Okay.
come back here and talk about what you're doing
Yes.
October 16th?
Yes, absolutely. I
Okay.
will. I've
Thank
got a
you.
big
I wanna
meeting
know about that.
tomorrow.
Well, no,
I've got
let's have a real conversation.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do that.
About
We have
that.
to. We
Okay.
have to. And so many people are involved. We have a big meeting tomorrow, and it's see again, because of the occupation of DC, it's not even feasible to go back to Washington. But we're doing something better. We're mobilizing black men. One of the things the minister said to me a couple of months ago, he said, "Brother, the men's town halls and the men's meetings were as important, if not more important, than the march itself." We got to talk about that. We're inspiring black men in the major cities and not so major cities all over the country to have meetings and town halls the whole week of October 13th, to go back and reclaim what we're supposed to be doing and our responsibilities as black men. We even got people organizing town halls as far away, Santita, as Nairobi, Kenya, Jackson, Mississippi. People are coming together. And we're talking to, our brother Gators in Chicago. He's going to put some things together. The year before the Million Man March, that was the first major national gang summit to end violence. We got to get back in the habit of doing those things, and we've forgotten. And that's not a coincidence. These algorithms target young black men for total disinformation and confusion. And they spend, and last thing I'm gonna say, I promise, Santita, they spend billions of dollars targeting our people more than we do. Why is that? Why are people more interested in confusing our young people than we are in reaching out to them? We got to deal with all that. So with that, I love y'all.
I love you.
Love you too.
I'm gonna be with you.
Everybody, I love everybody. We are about ready
Thank you,
to
Mark.
go. But I want everyone to.
Renee,
Mark has had his say.
Renee.
Hold on. Well, no.